Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Ian Hink.
What up?
Ben Moore.
What up?
And my award-winning co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
What up with the award? What?
What'd you win?
We gave out some awards at the end of the year. But I mean, you never know. You might have something. You did a lot of paper writing. You never got any literary recognition?
I mean, I'm sure I won awards in school for things.
Boom, there you go. Awards plural. Episode 250, gents. Congrats.
Woo!
Distinguished guests, we are here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in video games this week. But before we do that and celebrate our 250th episode, we have to answer for all of the mistakes we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, begin corrections music, please. Boop. Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings was released on the Wii, PS2, and PSP. I assume that was a game that did not happen, most likely because I never played it, but it was a game. They came out on those consoles.
I think it was supposed to come out on the other consoles too, the HD systems, but
The real consoles?
somehow didn't.
Apparently the PSP is the best version of that. Who knows? Somebody is actually turning Bloodborne into a PS1 game. That was like whenever we talked about PS1 demakes, and that was one on my list. And I
saw
guess
that.
it's happening
It looks-
almost like immediately after I said it. The first game to use the Konami code was Gradius in 1986.
Nice.
Indiana Jones 5 is currently scheduled for 2022. They had their investors meeting, and they talked about it, their investors showcase. It's being directed by James Mangold, who directed Logan and Ford v Ferrari, which, yeah, good reviews from both of those. I've only seen one of them. And George Lucas apparently will not be involved in any official capacity. Maybe he's assigned as executive producer, but, which it's like, I don't know. I'm still going to be skeptical. You can say he's not even let in the building, and I'm like, I'll still be curious. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds Correction of a Correction, which I usually don't allow, but it's Star Wars related, was not limited to Empire Rebellion content at launch, which I attempted to correct. The tutorial starred Chewbacca's father, Adachikatuk, building an army to drive the Trade Federation off a Wookiee colony world with the help of Qui-Gon Jinn. And there were campaigns for both the Trade Federation and the Gungans set during the invasion of Naboo. The expansion Clone campaigns the next year then added Confederacy and Republic stories set during the Clone Wars. And we're done.
You didn't know that?
Ben, the song is called Bakamitai. I've been a fool. Dame Dane is the first line of the chorus. Is typically what people usually call it. It's like Bob O'Reilly versus Teenage Wasteland. Sony mysteriously removed the release windows from the CES trailer of the weekend, those release dates that we're fawning over.
Okay.
They released another video later, and that was not included. And a fun update, Ian, Garrett Zamora says, in a game I submitted for the Love and Respect episode over the holidays of naming the game from the song titles that appeared in my top songs of 2020, Ian mentioned Jessica Curry, and I knew I'd heard him talk about her before, so I looked up her stuff, absolutely love it. Her music has become part of my nightly unwinding/meditation routine, so just wanted to say thanks to Ian for shouting her out. End corrections music, please.
Nice.
Feels
She's my
good.
fave.
Feels good. Let's keep the good vibes going with the silver lining, a silver lining about us. You know, a lot of these are good things about the industry, and I'm not saying good things didn't happen in the industry. They're more important than Easy Allies, but John Leitner would like to shout us out just a little bit, collectively, but mostly pointing at Ben. The Easy Allies do their part to protect old spoilers. In what can only be called an uncanny timing, Ben brought up the ending of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, not specifics regarding it, just referencing the ending. At the same time, I was replaying through all of Half-Life, and my wife was experiencing the games for the first time while watching me. This was all in preparation for playing through Half-Life Alyx, which unfortunately I was spoiled on regarding the ending. We were about halfway through Half-Life 2 when watching the podcast from last week. As soon as Ben mentioned Half-Life during a segment about helpless endings, my heart sank. Thankfully, Ben showed restraint for a 13-plus-year-old game and chose to stay his words. Not only that, but three other allies, Jones Blood and Brad, all chose to keep quiet and not talk specifics. Thank you for
Blood thought I spoiled some, but I didn't spoil anything.
Thank you to everyone.
That was a different conversation, but yeah.
It's always
I should say in Game of the Year, because we talk a lot about Half-Life Alyx in Game of the Year.
Yeah.
If you don't want Half-Life Alyx spoilers,
for everything for Last of Us. If you're curious about 2020 spoilers, stay the hell away from our deliberations. Not our awards video, but our deliberations. Yeah, and
I feel like we did all right.
We did okay.
We didn't
either,
get specific.
Yeah, we either
on,
did it or
anything.
we didn't. I mean, there's some big ones like Last of Us. There's a biggie in there, but like we had to talk about it. Best character, best narrative. You know the categories.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to stay away from those.
Your mileage may vary, but be mindful of that for sure.
Thank you to everyone for showing restraint for a game over a decade old, because you never know who's experiencing it for the first time right now. Thank you, John, for that silver lining.
I'm
Thanks,
trying to think of a joke game to spoil as a joke right now, and I just can't even bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
I want to like spoil Game of Thrones or like the end of Tomb Raider or something, but I just can't.
Tomb
I
Raider
can't
1.
bring myself to do it.
A T-Rex, good moment, but it's right away.
Well, now you've done it.
Yeah, you know. Look out when you get into that cave in the original Tomb Raider. There's a T-Rex.
Well, the whole thing is kind of a cave, but yes, I know what you mean.
There's lots of darkness. Yeah. There's a ceiling in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all talking about Resident Evil at the top of this podcast, scheduled just so beautifully right before we talk about it. I'm nervous when there's like a bunch of games that get announced right before a podcast, because I got to figure out like what do we talk about first, what are the details behind all these things. But I watched it, I rewatched it, I talked to my fellow allies about it, I read the email, the press release, got a list of characters here, and I managed to play a little bit of the demo, about 15 minutes of the visual demo.
Wait, that's like how long it is,
Like
though.
the whole, I beat the demo 2.5 times.
I got to the living room.
Okay.
I got to the living room and all the doors were locked, and I was like, I got 10 minutes left. I should probably
Brandon,
comb my hair and get ready for this podcast.
I've had one of the most frustrating afternoons that I've had in a long time.
Let's talk about this demo. Shadow dropped right after, broke the PlayStation Store.
What's funny?
And it broke your PS5, apparently?
Yeah, well, I've been having like weird problems with certain games on my PS5. Like Demon's Souls crashed, Miles Morales like wouldn't work and still doesn't work unless I put it on performance mode. And I downloaded Resident Evil 8 and it just kept freezing repeatedly, just wouldn't stop. And I went through like all their troubleshooting and I tried every single step, and then I got on the phone with Sony and I went through it with a representative.
Whoa.
And this took like 30 minutes. And then they're like, yeah, we'll send you a box and we'll get it repaired and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, like, not ideal, but like at least it's getting fixed. Then I said to my wife, I was like, here, I'll show you what's happening with this Resident Evil 8 demo that I've been trying to get working for hours. And she sat down and it just worked.
Psst, the wife is watching. She's watching. Fix it.
And I feel like some sort of like divine trolling is happening.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but it worked, and I was able to play through it once, and so I'm grateful for that. But
it's like, I was gonna ask if you had any secret details. Like I love it, like the Sony rep. It's just like, and we'll send that one out to you right away. Okay, Wesker's baby, click. And you're like, wait, what? So, what? What? What was that last part?
What did you say?
I feel like that often is the way it goes, though. It's like you can beat your head trying to troubleshoot something for hours and not know what's going on. Doesn't make any sense. The minute you tell somebody about it, it's fixed.
Yeah.
But it was like magic. Like I don't know what variable changed there to get it to work. I'd be curious after the podcast to try to play through it again and see if.
Right.
Yeah.
Did
I
you,
would
like,
definitely still send
did
it
you,
in
like,
if you've had
power it
repeated
down
problems.
or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. What's up?
Did you like power it down or something?
Oh, I did a lot of things. I rebuilt the database. I reset it to factory settings and deleted everything on my system.
Oh my god.
I did everything.
Yeah, because my Demon Souls and Miles Morales both crashed a few times while I was playing those. And this one I had no problems at all.
So the protagonist of this demo just slightly under more duress than you were this afternoon, Ben.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's weird is I had a disc. I had a Miles Morales in my PS5, and I took that out and it froze again. But then I shut everything down and booted it up. Like maybe there's something wrong with my disc drive that's affected my PS5. None of this is making any sense to me. So I
have a digital version.
And you're still having problems, yeah.
And yeah, Demons and Miles would both crash, so I don't know.
I was reading that don't put it into rest mode because that can cause problems. So now
that's
I'm
been a theory for a while, but I don't know if I buy it.
I don't know.
I put mine in rest mode.
I do buy it. I do buy it because Omar and I both were experiencing crazy problems, especially me with Demon Souls. When I would boot it up out of rest mode, it would be super laggy and choppy. Ever since then, I've been putting it in just off.
Yeah.
And it hasn't crashed since.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll see if that fixes anything.
It could be a combination of things to where rest mode basically reveals a problem that otherwise you're not encountering.
Well, Ben, why didn't you just download it on your Xbox Series X? Play it on that.
It's PS5 exclusive.
Oh! The demo, you say? This free demo, the visual
Yes.
demo, exclusive to PlayStation 5. That's unfortunate. Not only for Microsoft fans, but for Sony fans that were unable to buy a PlayStation 5.
Right.
But yeah, obviously, Sony showing up and investing a lot in this game. Very much looking forward to the visual demo. I just love that it's specifically called. I was like, oh, we're not even gonna have an inventory in this thing, and it's like, oh no, we just don't have weapons. Just call it the non-weapon demo. But just to show off the visuals. That's it. No story in this demo. Not showing off anything else. Just the visuals.
There's some story.
Well, did you like it? It worked a little better for you, Ian. Did you?
Oh
you
yeah,
enjoy?
I liked it. I liked it quite a lot. You started. I don't know how in detail we want to go.
I don't
but
think
you,
I think you just kind of talk about what it informed you about the game, and not like this happened.
Right. So it lets you experience kind of two locations. You start in sort of a dungeon, and then you move into the house, and you see actually that main
house.
staircase.
That
It looks
chandelier.
so
That's all I
good.
wanted. They call it the chandelier
Yeah.
demo. It's like that's all I want to see.
You see
look
the
at
main
that
room from that we've seen in all the trailers with the banister and the staircase and all that. You actually do that eyeball door puzzle.
Oh,
that's where I stopped. Something that
didn't
I-
expect.
I noticed, I don't know if you guys did as well, but when you examine the eyeball, like it won't let you rotate it. Like it like gets like kind of like wavy, like it's messing with reality
really?
or something. Yeah, unless I was doing something wrong, and you totally
Huh.
can. But yeah,
Or it's just your
That-
PS5 again.
It's
yeah, who knows? It could just be a broken PS5. I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that was on purpose because like they're known for putting like weird little Easter eggs
Yeah,
in this. I actually
it definitely seemed
I
like a
played
weird little
through it
thing.
a couple of times. You see two entities in this, and there are a few pieces where one of the black dress bug vampire ladies, is walking, and I ran and caught up with her, and she will attack you there if you
Oh.
get to her fast enough. She'll say like, "I can't wait to dinner," and then she'll
Yeah.
like, look at you,
That happened to me. Yep.
which usually she doesn't do until later. Yeah, and then you see the woman in white toward the end of it. It's a good
Lady
fun little
Dimitrescu.
demo. Yeah, Lady Dimitrescu, and you find out they're like making wine, but it's like special wine.
Yeah.
and it's like pretty
It's
clearly
Maiden's
they're not
blood.
using the
hand
grapes.
sticking out of the cask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the grapes are all moldy. Like they're not using grapes for this wine. But yeah, it was short. It felt like something like you would have played at E3. Like here, you've got 15 minutes. Play this demo. And the first time I went through it, it probably took me 20, 30 minutes. The second time, I think it took me like 6 because I wasn't scared. So I didn't have to like tiptoe through the tulips or whatever. Yeah.
I'm sure that this is greatly exacerbated by the problems that I had this afternoon, but it was I guess slightly shorter than I was expecting. I feel, and I could just totally be misremembering. I felt like the dummy demo was longer, but I don't
think it was.
fully remember. But I kind of had this weird situation like you were talking about the second time where like I would get like halfway through it and it kept crashing. And so like I knew how to do everything.
Right.
Well, not everything, but like the first half of it really fast. And I was able to get through it.
That is
pretty
very
quickly.
Resident Evil. There's nothing like
Yeah.
playing through the RE game
Yeah.
for the third time, and you're just like, right.
You're just
Grab
like,
this thing and open that thing.
But it showcased like the classics, bolt cutters on a chain,
Yep.
like opening a door with
A
an
fun
eyeball,
bolt cutter
like
introduction.
Examining
Yeah.
a
Oh,
thing
yeah.
to reveal another thing.
to reveal another thing,
Yeah.
like getting a key out of a thing, like you do it all,
And
except for shoot or block.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's hard to overstate how good it looks HDR on.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Did the demo
terrifying.
have
just
ray
because
tracing?
of, what's up?
Did the demo have ray tracing?
It doesn't
looked like
specify.
It might.
It didn't
Yeah.
have reflections, or at least
Ask
not in the
Digital
mirror I looked
Foundry.
in.
Yeah.
But
There
Hey, maybe
were
that's a
some
sign.
things in the puddles and things a little bit, but yeah, I mean, ray tracing isn't just reflections. It could,
Yeah.
Blood, you hopped it. What'd you think?
No, I enjoyed it. The audio design I really liked. Like you'd be moving around and trying to find a way forward, and then you just like hear like a thump behind you or footsteps or voices and things, and just like, oh, okay, what's what's going on over there, and sometimes that's kind of the clue that you need to be like, okay, this is where something significant has happened, and so this is where your next little piece of the puzzle is. But
RE7 had a ton of that. There was so many like whispery voices and footsteps and doors opening and closing, and so it's gonna be interesting to see. There were a lot of like random elements in RE7 where you're like, I'm not sure where I'm gonna bump into this person. This person's just kind of floating around. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Literally, they're floating around this time. It's gonna be like, a moth goes flying by you, and you're like, is that just a regular bug, or is that a bug that's going to turn into a person? What's going on?
In the demo, at least, I tried to test that because there's a part where you see the woman in white kind of walk past the door that's cracked open slightly, and I was like, what if I catch up with her? Will she be there and kill me, like, or something?
Yeah.
Wasn't there. she was not actually there. So in the real game, I wonder, because you can catch up with the lady in the black dress. So,
but Ben, you brought up an interesting point. Oh, sorry.
I do feel like it's very similar to Resident Evil 7. Like, it's definitely a lot of the things that they did there continued, but I think I love Resident Evil 7, but I think I'm just even more into the setting here. Like, just this gothic horror, these vampire ladies, like, I'm really excited for their potential as villains, and I think the molded were fine in Resident Evil 7, but these sorts of beasts and creatures, I think, could be potentially more interesting and varied than what we got in RE7.
Well, and it's like already just immediately so steeped in that kind of gothic horror stuff. It's like we're already like majorly hinting like vampires. We're majorly dealing with like bug powers, and like your vision gets all full of like windshield splatter almost, like the bugs are attacking you. And I mean, it's Resident Evil, so like the assumption is that it'll be revealed that like they're weird like virus vampires somehow or like whatever, but I love that it's leaning into this kind of horror.
People are trying to stay away from those viruses in Resident Evil, and these gals are just
yeah, they're just give me that.
Give me the blood.
Give me the blood, Lord.
Yeah, I liked it. Like the Baker family is kind of some like homegrown torture skills, whereas like these people are professionals. Like these are like
medieval.
These are museum pieces here. Like these are just like, oh, that's horrifying and also fabulous. But you brought up an interesting
with
point
the ice screws or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And everything has like black goop all over it, like it's been used so often that the blood is just turned into like bile.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
I love going to like the Tower of London as a kid or going to museums in London, and I'm just like, Daddy, how does that work? And it's like, well, you sit in it and your knees are up to your chest and it's so painful you want to die. I'm like, cool. Like 10 years old, like, neat.
You do.
Yeah. But you had expectations, Ben, going into this demo. And that's interesting, kind of where we are with Resident Evil, where it's like, what do we... I don't think RE8 was ride or die on this demo, but we're still like super excited to play it. I think more so maybe than most games. I mean, like we went in not only hoping for it in our reactions, but like expecting it. It's like, when is it going to happen? They did crashed PSN. It's like, I can't get my free Resident Evil right now. So is that like a good place for Capcom to be, or do you think there's kind of scary expectations there, or is anybody ride or die, you think, on this demo, or is everyone just like, I just want to play it today. I just want to get excited.
Yeah, I mean, what we'll talk about later, I'm assuming, but this is kind of a repeat of what happened with Monster Hunter Rise, where like it was buckling the eShop, people trying to get the demo, and I think for any game company, having one of those is encouraging and a good sign.
Yeah.
Having two of those back to back, and they're releasing pretty much right next to each other as well. Yeah, I think they're in good shape.
That's the chatter that comes in when someone like walks into a fancy party in this industry where they're like sipping. They're like, "Oh, his game buckled." They're just like, "Oh, did it? Oh, yeah. He crashed Steam for 30 seconds." Like, So yeah,
They crashed Stadia.
Yeah, exactly. They crashed Stadia. Not even Cyberpunk could crash Stadia.
It's still crashed.
We got a lot of crazy characters. We think we've seen some of these people, but we're not exactly sure, but it's fun to speculate. Again, just bail on this whole conversation if you're like, I don't want to hear about this stuff before launch. I can't stop thinking about it. Lady Dimitrescu, we've seen. She talks a lot.
That's the name of the castle, too, apparently.
It's the name of the castle.
Yeah.
She's got 2 daughters.
And the wine brand? 3 daughters.
3 daughters. I say 2? Sorry, yeah, she's got 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again,
Or
it's like
possibly 1.
I don't
Who
know
knows?
if it's like a Dracula's wives kind of thing. If they're like
Right,
really her
right.
quote unquote daughters,
I
or
think
if that's
they
like
might
her
be a bunch of
brood.
bugs.
They all kind of look the same, but yeah.
Yeah, I think they might not be her actual daughters.
Yeah.
Because
But-
maybe Mia's gonna be one of them, or maybe she was. Hey, the more the merrier, you know.
There's something going on with me and a baby that I don't know. Yeah.
There's something I've been meaning to tell you. I'm a bunch of bugs.
There's, to be honest, I'm surprised. There's Mother Miranda, which Lady Dimitrescu is on the phone with, talking about her brother, who may or may not be Heisenberg, who may or may not be that guy with glasses. Those are 3 variables. Lady Dimitrescu has a brother who's up to no good.
There's also
fails
a
her
brother
some point
reference in
early
the
in the
dungeon
campaign.
too.
Yeah.
Help me, brother.
Well,
right on the wall.
I assumed that was the guy who was hung up in the other cell, but who knows?
Oh, maybe. So yeah, some interesting family relationships, also kind of echoing of 7, just a very twisted family. Also kind of reminds me, I'm getting Code Veronica vibes from all of this. There's a lot of, the mansion on the hill and that messed up family that's got a lot to sort out up there.
Could say the voice acting is already much, much, much better than what we see in Code Veronica.
And the Maiden, whoever the heck that is, who we are playing as. Very carefully, we don't see any hands, or at least I did in my playthrough. When the bolt cutters go, it's all both hands are right off screen. And then our protagonists, Mia, who we mentioned briefly, but then Ethan Winters and maybe Chris Redfield. I don't know. Chris is up to no good, but who knows if that's him or a clone, or if he's really helping people or not. I like on their website, Ethan's face is like grayed out. They're like, we don't show you Ethan. Like Ethan doesn't. Ethan's just hands. Like he doesn't really.
They said Ethan quite a few times in the trailer. I have a feeling that Ethan may not end up being the one you play through this whole game as.
Ooh.
Just a guess, but who knows?
Well, he also, the Duke, the merchant, mentions like, well, everybody knows who you are. And so it's like, does he mean because of what he did before I bump into the Duke already in this campaign, or because of what I did in Resident Evil 7, or because I and Mia and our kid and all of this stuff is wrapped up in whatever their ceremony is, and so they've been talking about us forever. I feel lots of prophecies are coming at us in this storyline, but
yeah, I'm curious, like what part of the game this even takes place in, because for some reason I just have this picture that like, well, you would go through the village before you get to this castle, right? But I don't know.
Well, they said that this is not part of the actual campaign. It's like
I know the demo itself,
thing.
but the location.
Oh, the location. Yeah.
Well, you can see plenty of, and obviously not only seen these areas before, but like you can see little bits of the ladies floating around and gunplay and stuff like that, like in these hallways. So it's a fun introduction. The architecture is always one of the fun things to explore. We'll talk about this Duke for a second. Ian, your eyes went wide when I mentioned the Duke. You lit up.
He's great.
Yeah. He talks a lot. I instantly compared him to the merchant, and then I realized, like, the merchant literally says "Howdy, stranger," and that's it. Like, that is all he says throughout the game, and he's one of the most beloved characters. What are you buying? In all of Resident Evil. Is this guy going to spoil us with actually having a personality and a script? Or
I think it'll be the more the merrier, the more the better.
Yeah.
I like the idea of checking in and just having a little bit of banter with him, or have him reveal, or illuminate like things that maybe you just saw. Like I think that could be really fun.
Yeah, and like they're making choices with the guy. Like he's definitely like a big personality, and he has the garlic hanging around him and stuff to like fend off vampires theoretically, and like. Yeah, oh, he's great.
Yeah. Well, and I like, too, that, like, his carriage is just kind of like a jewelry box, the way it opens up.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe he's, like, a way bigger part of the story than it seems, and, keeping tabs on you.
Lots of upgrades there. We can get into specifics in the campaign. One thing that I am celebrating, the briefcase is back. Yeah! What a stupid thing to be excited about, but, like, I'm so anal when I play games, and just organizing all that stuff is so perfect. But it also gives you a very simple restriction of what you can carry, which some people might be frustrated by, which I can't recall if RE7 has that. I think you have like your quick options if you want to like bring up weapons really quickly, but Just the option of like actually not being able to pick up a first aid kit or something because you're like, I can't fit it into this briefcase. Did you enjoy that in RE4, Ben, or are you looking forward to that coming back?
Yeah, it's funny because having played through all of RE7, I'm pretty sure that is a thing where you run out of space.
You get capped? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember.
I could be wrong on that. Maybe the games are just blurring together, but I'm pretty sure. But as far as like, yeah, I mean that's a pretty essential thing for survival horror. I like specifically in RE4 that it's like, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't seem like it's going to fit, but then you rearrange it and you find space. That's kind of satisfying. And I think the other thing in RE4 is it's like you have to choose whether you want to spend, like, where you want your upgrades to go. So it's like, do I want to make the briefcase bigger, or do I want to, like, put that into weapons or whatever? So, yeah, I think those decisions are really fun, and I think also add to replayability and different ways that you can go in different play styles. So I think it's cool.
Much like kind of setting up your troops in a particular way in an RTS, just the aesthetic of all the first aid sprays lined up in RE4. I was like,
and what's funny about RE4 is you get like a lot of goofy things. Like you could put fish in there and eggs, and it's not just eggs. Weapons.
Speaking of goofiness, we were talking about the Duke, and he's a little silly. Like, was there any humor in RE7? Like, I don't like, other than like twisted humor. Like, obviously, like there was a lot of cackling and you know, like the Bakers were sure having a swell time. But I don't. It seems like they're getting back to the silliness a little bit, maybe a little like the over the topness of RE4. And I can't remember if that's something I really missed or was like, you know, obviously missing from RE7. Which is otherwise like,
yeah. I mean, the thing about him is, though, you say silly, but I don't get the vibe of silly from. I mean, definitely more lighthearted, definitely larger than life kind of a character, as are the villains and that one big guy with the hammer that they showed. So there's definitely like just kind of like make things really big as part of the character design in this game. But yeah, I didn't get quite to silly or B-movie kind of vibes from him. Just that he was just, he's there, he's taking everything in stride, he's going to make some coin.
Yeah.
But I do know what you're saying, though, Jones. Like, there has been that kind of levity or gaminess about the Resident Evil series that 7 seemed to step away from to some extent. Like, it's definitely one of the darkest entries in the series. And this one does seem to be stepping back a little from that, and it really feels like a combination of 4 and 7.
Yeah,
for real. Yeah, and that's with a little bit of 1 in there and 2.
I kind of see what you're saying, but I think the Bakers sort of have some of that in them, especially Joe Baker in the DLC.
Yes.
I feel like kind of has what you're describing. But as far as like relatively recent Resident Evil games, like Revelations 2 definitely had that, and in some cases I think went way too far. Like some of Moira's dialogue was like it just felt like it was trying too hard sometimes. And so I don't know, I hope they strike a good balance.
They seemed excited to say that, I believe it was the executive producer that said, I don't think it was the games director, I think it was the producer, that mentioned this was going to also be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which was something that they hadn't previously said when they announced the game. And I don't know if it's thanks to the last-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077, but like that might not be the good news people are waiting for to kick off 2021. How do you feel about that, Ben?
To alleviate some of those fears, I think RE Engine has proven itself to be pretty scalable. And I think one of the things walking away from the Monster Hunter Rise demo, which also uses RE Engine, is that it runs well on that system, like relatively stable on that system. And so that's encouraging. And so I think I have a little bit more optimism with RE8 and its performance on PS4 and Xbox One.
One thing I think is actually interesting about that is the fact that they've waited to confirm it, that they didn't just say that out the gate. So it kind of makes me feel like they've been working on it, but they didn't want to say it if they couldn't do it. kind of a thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, if this isn't going to be a quality product, then let's just not even mention it.
Which is the opposite of CD Projekt Red, which couldn't do it, didn't want to say it. So it's just it's a question of what you want from your developer in terms of how they choose to approach last gen.
This is pretty tinfoil hatty, but didn't they revealed Resident Evil 8 at a PlayStation 5 event, right? And you're getting a PS5 demo, so I wonder if there's like some benefit in making Resident Evil 8 seem like a PlayStation 5 game for as long as possible to make the PlayStation 5 even more enticing.
The footage was PS5 in the presentation today. Yeah.
Right. And we've seen Microsoft do similar things as well. So, yeah, I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Hey, what's a good test for console lighting is when you get into those super dark areas. So, get to work, Digital Foundry, to work on that demo. And if you want, quote, immediate access to an especially challenging difficulty setting, you got to get that deluxe edition. Which, thank goodness for that fine print, because that was a sneaky one.
We were ready to tear that apart.
Yeah, to show us all these. We're like, oh, look at that Chris statue. That's kind of cool. I'm like, wait, what? Like that took a second, which we're assuming to mean,
Somebody mentioned that they did
something.
Either they did the same thing or they did something similar for Resident Evil 7. So it's not unprecedented.
I don't remember that at all. Okay.
Yeah, I don't either. I just saw somebody mention it.
I like that Chris Redfield has the pistol in his right hand in the statue, just like he does at the end of the debut trailer. So it's like, what if you could get if you get the Ultimate Deluxe Edition, it comes with a little Mia statue you can put right on the floor next to him.
It's morbid.
Yeah, it is. It's a morbid game. But really, I mean, what are we doing spending this much time, almost the first half of this podcast, talking about Resident Evil Village, when we can talk about RE-verse?
RE-verse.
You
want to say reverse, but they all said RE-verse.
Included with Resident Evil
crazy.
Village. You don't really know what you're going to get. Resident Evil is now like a box of cereal. Like, you don't know. You might get a little decoder pin at the end, at the bottom of it. Oh, thanks. I didn't order this, but sure. And a moose boosh.
I wish they would reverse this into a better idea.
Right?
Oh, man. Oh, that's good.
You start out as heroes, and then when you die, you turn into like tyrants and nemesis and stuff.
So I guess if you still survive that without turning in, then it's like a win on top of a win, I guess, at the end. What if we could get all of the characters together and make them look like their worst versions? What if we can... Why
a low frame rate.
Why live in the current gen when you can live in the old gen? This game...
I don't anticipate that any of us will be living in this game very long.
No.
Like, playing it very much.
It's like, before when I would see these things, I would wonder, like, what if it was planned to be a big thing, and then when they realize this isn't really coming together, well, we'll just make it free. And now, like, this is the bar that they have. Like, I think from the moment this was conceived, somebody came in with a render of Leon, and they were like, no. Take it back. What are we doing? What are these? Look at all these polygons. Don't be silly. We need to put, a comic grain on it. We need to put bold Borderlands lines on this. We need this to look like, Blood, what did you say? A Switch screenshot or something? Or like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Also worded very carefully, Resident Evil Village will include access to a free multiplayer experience. If it's on the disc, wait, free? What are you talking about? A free multiplayer experience?
Oh, sure.
If you buy it.
Gain access you need it to gain access, but it's free. What?
Yeah. I think they're specifying because Resistance you could buy on its own. So they don't want to confuse. I thought so.
Can't remember.
Wait, I thought you could. I don't know.
I thought it came with Resident Evil 3, but maybe you could buy it on its own?
It did, but I thought you could get it on its own too. But
I think you could get the demo separately, but I think to get the full game you had to buy Resident Evil 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, this is the paragraph Hubert doesn't want to write, is what this is. He gets to the end of his review, and then he's like, oh, I got to say something about RE-verse, don't I? Yeah, it's there. I'm not mad at it. I guess it's the worst thing that this mode could do is lower the score. It's like actually have you be excited for the game and then you're upset because is just even in there.
Just like with Resistance, like the situation is that this is an entirely different game.
Yeah, it's a different download. I guess that's what
this is not a multiplayer mode.
Right.
This is an entirely different. Like it's third person instead of first person. It's all a completely different group of characters. It's just, it's so strange.
I just
the way
feel
that
like
they decided to do these.
I feel like when you have something like this, you at least want the response of like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted, but it kind of seems intriguing. Like, oh, this is a neat idea. I'll at least try it out. And it just, what they showed looked so rough and so uninteresting. And it's just like, okay, the Division stuff looked more interesting than what you're showing, and this is an entire game.
It actually does. Yeah.
It's amusing to me that we're so hot on Resident Evil Village and so not on everything else that they showed, but not like angry, just kind of like, okay, this Netflix show, like, I'll maybe check it out.
Whatever.
We're asking Huber like, how are those other ones? He's like, there's no way to tell. You never know. Because the thing that's interesting about Resident Evil that I was reminded of today is that I think it's one of those franchises where the 8 of us really converge, the 8 allies, almost all collectively, and like that's a thing to celebrate, and it happens sometimes with games, but I think just in general with Resident Evil, like we're all ready, we're all excited, we'll all show up, like the
game recognizes game
almost immediately. All right, time for Ben Moore to recognize Capcom. As long as we're talking about them.
Never done that before.
Because, I'm sorry, Ben, during this conversation, I will utter the words Monster Hunter and Rise right next to each other. So I don't know if that's...
Got those codes, Blood?
Gets you a little too excited. Still is January. We're almost in February, and then it'll be...
He actually rolled his eyes.
Blood did?
Take it back.
Run the tape back.
As if you weren't already excited for what Capcom's doing in 2021, Ben, they bumped up their full-year sales forecast up 8.2% after the sales of Resident Evil 3 and the pre-orders of Monster Hunter Rise, which are, quote, off to a promising start. Expecting maybe even more of those pre-orders before we finally get that game at the end of March on the 26th. Specifically, they said it is a, quote, recent success in proactively growing digital sales, which is not a surprise that's happening to everybody in 2020, but really specifically to Capcom. And we talked recently about how much they were spending, that they were optimistic. They thought they were going to make $793 million in a full year. They're currently nearing the end of their Q3. We'll get the results next Thursday, actually. They now think it's going to be $890 million. So that's up $97 million. Where's that coming from? Anything off the top of your head, where is that money coming from in the next quarter?
If they just upped it?
Is that all coming from, is that all coming from Monster Hunter Rise?
I feel like it has to be. It has to be from that response. Like they've
pre-orders,
seen so many people downloading that demo and hitting that pre-order button. It's like, as annoying as it might be, like having that pre-order button at the end of a good demo.
Yeah.
It's a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe this isn't even a blip, but Monster Hunter World was part of the PS Plus collection, but I don't think Iceborne is. So maybe, you've got people on PS5 trying out Monster Hunter World, and then like that's giving Iceborne an even longer tail. I have no idea. Just trying to think it through.
Iceborne, and we've seen plenty of times in the past, like the reveal of a promising new entry in a series increases sales for the previous entry, so I wonder if a lot of people are buying RE7 now too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's a thing kind of on my backlog where I got that game started but never actually got all the way through it. Yeah.
Same. I had downloaded and put it on my PS5 actually, just like a couple of days ago.
According to Capcom, Ben, Iceborne has, quote, continual growth. So not just good sales from all those people who were signing up, but growth. Like more people are continuing to jump into Iceborne, or at least have been in the last couple quarters. I wonder, as somebody who's not as familiar with the franchise, I wonder about the relationship between Iceborne and Rise. If those just kind of like, yay, everybody wins, or like people are going to stop and play Rise and jump back, or like, no, the Switch family's going to be over here, and the PC, Xbox, PS5 family is going to be over here.
Yeah.
Is it a little bit of everything, or what do you think?
They did it. I mean, this sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but I really think it's true. They did it just about perfectly. Where, if you look at if you look from 2018 to where we are now, they just pretty much continually updated Monster Hunter World, and they were constantly adding things. And it wasn't just like little things. There were so many crossovers, so many events. And that made it fun to stream and have people tune in. Like it, of course it would rise and fall in popularity, but there would be some big new thing to pay attention to pretty much like for 2 entire years. And, more or less. And I think what is happening, right, is you get people checking into games and they're like, oh, it was fun for the first month, but the developers haven't really been talking about it, or updates have been slow. Like Avengers is actually kind of going through that right now. People are just like upset.
Oh, you had to say
I'm sorry. People are just like upset that the developers haven't really been communicating all that much. And of course, we're in a pandemic and a lot is going on. But the point that I'm trying to make is I think, Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, like, those packages on their own were good, and then it had like years worth of good content, and it felt complete. It felt like it capped it off. And so you have an audience that's been playing consistently, has seen everything, and now they're ready for the next thing. So it's not like you get to Rise and it's like, oh, World was disappointing, Iceborne was disappointing, I didn't really like that. It's like, give me Rise now. Like, I'm so, like, you've kept me so full and satisfied that you kind of earn my goodwill into the next project.
So Ben, sorry, Blood, were you gonna answer that?
I would just say that but I think it also it does benefit from kind of a combination effect, because you do have those people that have been very heavily invested in Monster Hunter World, which was just massive. Mm-hmm. It's gone far beyond the fan base generally has been. But I do think that there is probably, that especially in Japan, there's this segment of the fan base that isn't really playing on consoles as much and has been sort of waiting. And so now, the Switch is going to kind of deliver, that audience their next game, which they haven't had for a couple of years. And so both of those audiences are going to kind of be converging here.
Right.
So Ben,
primed for success. Yeah, go ahead.
This is not Brandon Jones, just hypothetical consumer. So I've never really been a big Monster Hunter guy. I get into Monster Hunter World and I fall in love. I'm losing my mind. This game is so exciting.
World? You're getting into World?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm playing with people, but I don't really have a friend group. So I jump in when I hear about updates. It's fun. I jump back in. Then Iceborne comes along. I jump into Iceborne. I play like crazy for a month, and then I hear about the updates later, but I kind of back out and I play other things. And then Rise is coming up. I can ride on a dog. This looks amazing. I can zip line through the world. This looks really exciting. I jump into Rise. I play that for a month, and then I hear after that, oh my goodness, Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin is going to come out.
Yes.
I'm going to love this.
Right.
Do you stop that person from just immediately buying that game, or do you think they might dig it, or do you have words of caution? Because that's Q3. That's a part of their year. Q3 of 2021. That I think will be the last quarter, or that'll be the beginning of their next quarter. Is that going to do well for Capcom?
Well, it depends, I think, on what your expectations are, because it's a Monster Hunter spin-off game that is completely different in style and tone and mechanics than regular Monster Hunter. So if you go into Monster Hunter Stories thinking it's just going to be more Monster Hunter, which I doubt that would happen to anybody, but if you want to see a different take on Monster Hunter, I think you could definitely be into it. So again, it depends on what you want and what your expectations are, but
I think there's a good point there, though, that if they are seeing, much higher interest in Rise, then, I'm sure their team can project that Stories is going to get a boost from that as well.
Right.
All these numbers too must mean that RD3 did decent, which is what do we have, 100% guarantee that something else is going to get remastered? I don't know if it's Code Veronica. I don't know if it's 1 again. I don't know if it's 4. I don't know if it's... why would
There's been murmurs about 4 happening.
Yeah. They got
I don't
anime,
think
live
4
action,
needs
and
to happen
RE-verse.
as much as the others have, but yeah, there's definitely been talk.
None of this needs to happen. Doesn't matter what Huber tells you. None of
I will say,
narratively, Code Veronica would make sense narratively.
Sure,
but
I will say from looking at Ben's playthrough of 4 that it definitely feels like it needs more contrast or darkness or something there. It feels sort of washed out in a way. That's especially with this, when you get it's super dark in the dungeons and stuff.
Yeah, I see what you mean about lighting, but just playing RE4 on PC, I was just like, this still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And that could be nostalgia speaking.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I remember the cabin sequence and just barely, you're looking through these windows and you can just kind of barely see the villagers start to kind of swarm in, like they're out in the rain with the lightning. I remember that looking pretty good at the time, that GameCube. We also got Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection and Capcom Arcade Stadium. They're both in February. Arcade Stadium does not have a release date yet, which is interesting.
Really curious if Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection gets any traction. Very, very curious.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Capcom is too.
Yeah, because it's a new game. We all thought it was a remaster at first, but it's not. It's
a
its own new
reboot of
thing,
sorts, according to
right.
the Switch website or their official
It's just
website.
this weird phone game looking new one.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, and then the Arcade Classics thing is interesting too, because it's not just like one collection. It's like this series of things, and so you can buy this piece or that piece, or maybe get them all bundled together. But yeah, I don't think that they're looking at those as being like anchors or anything like that. I would be surprised if they're putting a lot on the Ghosts and Goblins thing.
Yeah, I think that Capcom likes to. I mean, it's part of why I think they're successful is that they have these big, huge tentpoles, and they fill in the gaps with these littler guys, and they're just really good at that.
But
lately.
where's my Mega Man?
Well,
Where is your Mega Man?
what else could we get? They're just wrapping up Q3.
Right.
They got one more quarter, so we got 3 months to make over $400 million. Is there something else maybe that could drop?
I definitely think so. Yeah, I think we are going to get some big Capcom announcements this year. Like, Itsuno is obviously working on something, hopefully, probably Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Woo!
So yeah, I definitely think it could happen. And like it's except for Reverse, like I definitely had a very negative reaction to Reverse, but Ghosts of Goblins Resurrection, I'm not saying it'll be good, but I'm curious about it. I want to try it out. And boy, like Rise and 8 are just so soon. It's not like these are games that are coming out in 2022. I mean, this is the first half of this year. We've got some major Capcom stuff happening, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's something they've been doing pretty well, is just their scheduling. That they are able to announce these games and then have them ready within the next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that does, kind of leave a hint that, yeah, they could still have something out before the end of this year that we don't know anything about yet. Even with all the leaks and stuff that have happened, like there could still be something in those coffers.
I was just doing some math that I think I did right, because I was like 400 million. RE8 and Rise can hit that no problem. What is that, like a couple of copies?
But it's just Rise.
I divided it by.
Yeah, unless you get
I divided it by
pre-orders
60
for Village.
I divided it by 60, and they'd have to sell 6,666,666 copies. So that seems hard.
6 million?
I think so, unless I did the math wrong.
Doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
I am not going to correct your math live
Yeah,
at the end of the
400
segment.
million.
Not
Yeah,
happening.
there we go. Yeah. 6 million copies. 6.6 million copies at $60 a piece.
Why wouldn't you be confident? They just finished up their highest ever second quarter profits. In 6 months, they made $343 million, up 21% over the previous 6 months. They're killing it. So, yeah, hopefully they spend that money well.
Yeah.
We shall see.
I mean, they've just been mostly consistent on quality. I just feel like they're generally making like one or more of the best games a year a lot of times, or updating things that people really love. So I've been generally impressed with the quality.
And I'm just, I don't know if it's the mood. I don't know if it's my optimism for 2021. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Resident Evil Village is going to be good.
I think so.
Do you think it'll be so good that it'll be a serious Game of the Year contender?
No, because I think it will also be goofy as hell. I think a lot of those big story beats are good. Like, what? But entertaining, you betcha. Worth the price of admission, hell yeah. Will scare you. Hey, I turned the corner at one point in RE7 and there was a lady in a hallway in a wheelchair and I like dropped my controller. I was like, ah! You know, it's like, if RE7 could do that. Just find, still after all these years, find just really creepy, subtle ways to just like, gotcha. Good stuff. Even just that, God, even just the gameplay, man. Even just booting up that demo. It's rough because the demo says Resident Evil Village. It says Maiden in the title, but on the PS5 when you boot it up, right before you hit play, it's just Chris Redfield and Resident Evil Village. My heart skipped. I'm like, oh, that's right.
I thought that at first too. I was like, they screwed up. I got the whole game.
Way too long to actually be. We did it. We cracked the system.
I need to do another playthrough of Resident Evil 7 right now.
I'm gonna do my first playthrough before
VR.
8
I started
comes out.
VR. It was like, nope. But I don't know. Maybe
first-person horror is too scary for me. I don't know how you could do it in VR.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe my confidence is there after finishing Half-Life Alyx. Maybe I'm ready. I defeated head crabs, even the metal ones. Darn it. Maybe I'm ready for that. The European Union fined 6 companies for geo-blocking. Does anybody know what geo-blocking is that didn't look up this article today? Geo-blocking.
Oh, yeah. I know what
it's
geocaching
when,
is.
Like pieces of the earth are being flung at you, and you have to block them.
That's like Thanos. Geo-blocks. Geo-block.
I mean,
right,
this kind of thing will happen on like YouTube copyright things too. To where like there's songs like, because you know how we have these things where like, you know, there's a song and a video or whatever, and because of a trailer that we reacted to, so we can't monetize it.
Yeah.
But like sometimes like people in the Netherlands won't be able to watch that video. Everybody else is fine.
Right.
Netherlands won't have it. So it's like
music. Music licensing is one of the more popular things outside of this news today. It was a bummer because I tried to Google like I need some other great opportunities of geo-blocking, and Google was like, "You mean these 6 people just got fined?" It's like, yeah, I know about those. I just want give me some other stories. Come on.
Oh yeah, but yeah, and then like Netflix, that's what we're talking about with the with the ad that you can't get that in certain countries. And
specifically in this case, it means forcing users in a country to only pay the local price for a game instead of a cheaper version in another country. They use geo-blocked Steam activation keys, bilateral licensing and distribution agreements. Just classic bilateral licensing and distribution agreements. This affected Czechia, Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So all those people you saw in the Resident Evil 8 demo, they're not, in Romania they're having issues with this. The EU Competition Executive Vice President Margaret Vestager said, "Today's sanctions against the geo-blocking practices of these six video game companies serve as a reminder that under EU competition law, companies are prohibited from contractually restricting cross-border sales. Such practices derive European consumers of the benefits of the EU digital single market and of the opportunity to shop around for the most suitable offer in the EU." So they're looking out for a lot of countries, a lot of consumers. What were the companies? Who sounds like they'd do something like this?
I remember Steam was one of them.
Well,
yeah, because you're
Steam's not a
asking,
company,
I
but
assume it's people, big people.
Valve,
like, yeah,
specifically.
Valve, Sony.
No, not Sony.
EA?
You would think.
Origin?
What? Bandai Namco. Capcom. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Okay. Focus Home. Koch Media, and ZeniMax, a.k.a. Bethesda, which is not Microsoft's problem yet. Thankfully.
Interesting.
Hopefully they can fix their
that
practices.
Sounds about right.
Yep. The fines were
I'm
reduced.
just glad somebody's finally taken those bastards at Focus down a peg.
Yeah. They're not letting the bastards keep them down, at least if you're in Poland, Hungary, and etc. The fines were reduced by 10% and 15% owing to cooperation from the companies, except for one company. Who was it out of those that didn't cooperate?
Was it Coke?
No.
ZeniMax.
Those bastards at Focus?
Those Focus bastards. No.
ZeniMax?
No.
Valve?
Yes.
Bandai Namco?
Oh, it's Valve. Okay.
Valve.
Who apparently is infamously uncooperative in these matters. They have since
I'm not
released a
surprised.
statement where they were like, "We cooperated." So there's a bit of a back and forth. They were just like, they said we broke the law. We were like, no, we didn't. So there's a little fight. I love it. We did geo-block.
Come on.
Yeah,
Geo parried.
Right? we geo-countered. We leveled up our skill tree.
Riposte.
Yes, the old geo-riposte. So Valve got the fine around $2 million. The others, about 1.8, 1.9, 9.5 collectively. This stuff comes up, like, Blood, you were familiar with it, and this stuff comes up on Love and Respect a lot. It's one of the things I love about having an international audience is they let us know, like, what the hell? Not only is this thing ridiculously overpriced in my country, but I can't get access to other things. Or Alexander Zirianov was talking about how Russian prices are just, like, it's like 2 weeks later and everything's more expensive. Like, isn't that the opposite? Shouldn't stuff get cheaper after launch? So I enjoy hearing about these things. Is this something you think these companies are like legitimately surprised by, or are they just like, we got caught? All right, okay, fine, we'll stop.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know on that level, but it's interesting in a way because it's one of these things to me that it seems so specific to how the EU works, and like whether you're in or you're out, and so, I think that this is more or less how these companies are trying to operate, across the globe, when they're dealing with different countries, like, okay, this is what the economy is like here. We're going to set our prices to be what, seems like competitive in this country, et cetera, et cetera. But, with the EU, you've got to treat that as one region, and that's what they're being called out on. But it does seem strange to me that like, well, wouldn't you already know that? Like, wouldn't you already be prepared for that and have adjusted for that? But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the dark on this one, to be honest. It's
there's
really odd to me.
How do you not? Like that's not, I ain't gonna pretend it's that kind of podcast. These are things I want to talk about, but not clarifying anyway.
Well, the way that these giant multinational corporations function is like, to use an analogy of a thing. I'm not even sure if it's true or not, but somebody told me one time that companies like UPS and OnTrack, whoever, all the delivery companies, just have like an account with the police to pay parking fines because they get so many tickets that they just like, whatever, we'll just put it on the tab basically. And like, I don't know if that's real, but I do think that it's real that companies like this have like a budgetary item for like lawsuits and fines because it just happens so much that they're all just like, yeah, well, right. You're gonna get sued, like. So to them, 2 million as a fine is like, yeah, all right, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Where do I sign?
So it's crazy to me.
I also feel like, as a general rule, they will try to get away with as much as they can until they can't anymore. So,
I think that's been proven time and time again in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think other regions are gonna be like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not in the EU, but is this something the U.S. is gonna crack down on?
I mean, I think the difference is that
geo-blocking these people?
there is a law, there is a precedent for them to say that like you can't do this. This is how the EU works. This is how our market works. Whereas there's no reason anyone else can say it's like, oh, we deserve to have the price that they have. Like there's not really anything there other than
right.
the market itself to enforce that.
Like Australia can't be like, we should be able to buy this over here because it's like that's a different country, Yeah. Huh. Unions. Good stuff.
Well, it also obviously brings up the question of Brexit, which I want to take 5 minutes to briefly explain. I'm totally kidding. I'm
like, 2020's over, Jones.
I will get into gaming investments, though. Gaming investments. I know the ears perk up. I know somebody listening in their car just, whoa, okay. You said gaming investments, Jones, and I got excited. Gaming investments of 2020, no less.
But
because I know something that you I know something that obviously is going to mean big things going into 2021. I mean, it's interesting that here is just massive amounts of money being spent that will probably not really directly affect any of our daily lives or entertainment outlooks, for the foreseeable future. And if it does, it's really hard to notice and look back on when stuff like that happens. Will Bethesda games become exclusive to Xbox? It's going to be a while, I think, before we really find out. But according to Invest Game, which I got to admit, my Invest Game is not quite where it could be. Gaming investments reached $33.6 billion in 2020. Now you just think like, oh wow, the $400 I spent on video games or the price I spent on my Xbox. This isn't people spending money on these things. These are big companies choosing to invest somehow in video games. And that's something that I don't report on a lot. That's something that happened. And was like, hey, look, these people got 200 million. Hey, look, these people got 8 million. Like people, indie developers coming together. This isn't like a Kickstarter, GoFundMe situation. This is literally like having meetings, putting on a suit, riding in a lot of elevators, lots of Zoom calls where you're like, please, 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 I made these other things. Give me money so I can make games. 664 transactions made up that 33.6 bill. Who's got the most? What country's leading in video game investments?
China?
Yeah, seems like China right now. A lot of 10-cent investment happening.
Yeah.
USA! 36%, baby.
Oh, yeah?
Wow.
I'm sure that Microsoft deal was part of it.
You're in second place, China. 27%? Please. Please. You got to do better than that, Tencent. Tencent didn't even have the second or first best purchase of 2020. What was the biggest purchase of 2020? You know what it is.
Yeah, it's the Bethesda deal, right?
Well, the Bethesda, right? Yeah.
The Microsoft ZeniMax deal is more than the second, third, and fourth place combined.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Microsoft bought
I know we
ZeniMax
covered it.
for $7.5 billion. Number 2 is Zynga, that sneaky Zynga. We keep talking about Tencent and EA and all this stuff. Zynga buying Peak Games for $1.8 billion. Tencent bought Leiyu, which I talked about a couple weeks ago, for $1.3 billion. And EA, which has not finalized this deal, but is picking up that Codemasters. Get out of here, Take-Two. For $1.2 billion.
Take-Two formally withdrew last week, I think.
So you got to at least have a bill if you're going to come in and buy stuff. So when we say we don't have the millions to buy what X thing, it's like the millions, please get out of here.
We will let you
money.
buy Easy Allies for $1 million though. If you, we're in comparison, we're relatively
8 million. Yeah, 8 million.
Ben, that holds up in court. Ben was just kidding. We didn't mean that. I'm cutting.
Yeah.
The reason why you
upon market valuation.
The reason why you just didn't hear Ben during that portion of the podcast and it seemed like his audio clipped out, it was a technical mistake that I recognize. It's that audio issue, Ben. You got to get that fixed.
Where's the money?
We need more transactions. Something that I'm sure all of you are on the edge of your seat. Public offerings, not initial public offerings, of course, but public offerings,
thankfully,
nearly grounded to a halt at the opening of 2020. Doesn't seem like anything grounded to a halt financially in terms of video games in 2020. Everything was up, but people were nervous. That, of course, is when firms offer bonds or equity shares to investors in the open market. Doesn't mean when you, as an initial public offering, when someone's like, hey, get into your E-Trade and go buy stocks from this. These are just bonds and equity shares. But people were a little scared, I think, at the beginning of, didn't realize the juicy video game year that we were about to have. And so that grinded to a halt. But by the end of the year, it was up to $15.1 billion. So that was about half of the total gaming investment number. But yeah, so that record year wrapped up. And folks, I believe, now that we have one more podcast for January, I think that's the last blank of 2020 segment that I will be doing on this podcast. I think we're done. I don't know about the projections of 2021. We can maybe have another one of those, but it was that kind of a week. Speaking of,
I'll have to look for some silly press releases. It might be time for some press release meetings.
I think it is. I was going to message you the other day. I think it's next week might be the time to do that, but who knows? I knew Resident Evil was going to be a part of this podcast, but I wasn't sure what those other things. And then here we go. Capcom's feeling good. Seemed like those two things were worth talking about back to back. Also this week, Peter Moore. You remember Peter Moore, right?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
That tattoo football loving Peter Moore.
Dreamcast's Peter Moore.
Previously, nice. A lot of people think Xbox, but no, he's a Sega guy for a while. Yeah. Joined Unity as the Senior Vice President and GM of Sports and Live Entertainment. He's a big fan of that live entertainment. Loves those big events.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. It was like, wait, Unity and then live entertainment? Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand exactly what the role is, but sure.
Maybe because they're not really known for their sports and live entertainment side of Unity, but maybe they're going big. Tomonobu Itagaki, formerly of Koei Tecmo and Valhalla Game Studios, that made one game, either with Itagaki or I don't know if they're going to be making more games, but he will not be making more games with them because he made Itagaki games. And not just meaning games made by Itagaki. Itagaki capital I, games capital G. He's got his own studio. He's making something. No idea what that is. Ben,
He
are
said
you
he would
excited?
love to work with Microsoft again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could be interesting.
He's like, if they want to call, wink.
Yeah.
So hopefully they call.
He's like, I have a company. It's up for sale.
We're ready to go.
Microsoft.
It's like that Kojima Sony wink. Boop.
Yeah.
Call me. Dragon Nest is turning their hit game Auto Chess into a MOBA.
Wait.
Which is it's kind of like the
Wait a minute.
producer's movie going to Broadway. It's like, how does
Brandon-
what?
When I initially read this headline, my brain read it as Dragon Quest, and I was very confused.
Right.
Oh.
Dragon Nest,
The
one
thing-
end.
The thing based on the
Yeah.
thing based on the thing is
Yeah.
now going backwards to being a thing
Yep.
that it was.
Mhm.
Wow.
Right.
Dragonist.
Yep.
Love it.
Yes. It unfortunately is a little trickier than initially projected to carry your Hitman 1 and 2 progress into 3. This is being reported on almost on the hour. Look it up before you try it. There's some things that you should maybe know before you try to do that. Hitman 2 especially, that was tricky bringing in that progress. But
They were talking about doing some crazy thing on PC for like Steam users to be able to import into the Epic version and all of that. I don't know where that's standing.
that
It's
stuff
just-
is not
yeah.
working as intended. Maybe hold off. Maybe just do the Hitman 3 stuff, which is getting pretty good reviews
Does that
there.
include issues with consoles, or is it only PC having issues? Is it just
Again,
across the board?
honestly, there could be a new article as I say this on
Right.
this podcast
Okay,
right
got
now.
it.
So I would look that stuff up for your most recent information before you just assume that all of that is going to work as advertised. Speaking of wonderful Japanese developers, Hironobu Sakaguchi and Mistwalker specifically have a new RPG coming out called Fantasian. That'll be out this year. Have y'all seen this?
Yeah, it has a really, really cool diorama look to it. It looks very intriguing. Yeah,
Nice. No, I need to look this up.
That is because they are making dioramas.
yeah, yes, that's true. Yes,
They are building each one of these levels. So you think of something, like Octopath Traveler, where you're like, oh, okay, I got my little town that goes over here to there, and then I got the little stores
Is
I can walk
this-
into. They physically build those suckers, and then they
is
put.
this what they were showing off at the
characters
Apple
into it.
Arcade thing?
It is Apple Arcade, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we're getting that this year. I love that Sakaguchi is so straightforward. I just love, he's got such a great personality.
Oh, you know what? I saw the photos of these dioramas and didn't realize
Yeah.
what the heck I was looking at.
Okay,
Okay.
it feels like some kind of weird pre-order bonus or something. Like, that's the game. And I love that
It looks so cool.
he's openly saying, like, I'm a little scared. We're gonna finish this thing. He's like, because we gotta build. We know what we gotta build. We have the game's written, but will we be able to finish all of those things together? I love it.
No.
Yeah, this is
We'll
great.
see.
Not this year. Is my guess.
Everybody's at home in their living room. Like, God damn. Puzzle Quest 3 was announced. 505 bought the developer of Puzzle Quest 3. And that's going to be a free-to-play sequel. I love that Puzzle Quest. I don't know how much time I'm going to be able to make for it, but 505 bought them for 4.5 mil and cashing in on that sucker. We will see.
That was like one of the OGs, man.
Yeah.
That was like right when like the casual game was starting to hit.
Puzzle Quest first video game.
Yeah.
Not many know that.
Right behind the table Tennis for Two was the first, and then it was Puzzle Quest.
But I mean, it was like right around that time where like handheld games were transitioning over to mobile games,
Mobile games. Woo. Takaya Imamura, the man who designed Tingle, among other things. But come on, the guy who designed
Captain
Tingle
Falcon as well.
is retiring from Nintendo. Shout out to him for all of his amazing work. A lot of really fun Nintendo stuff happening this week. It seems like every month we get like a big Nintendo dump of just really fun classic information that we didn't know.
Welcome to Nintendo Dome.
Yeah. A 20-minute B-roll clip surfaced on YouTube of Nintendo manufacturing in the 1990s, specifically 90. If you want to see NES is getting built, if you want to see a lot of fun behind-the-scenes stuff.
That's not all. There is a CES 1991 clip that I watched through today.
Nice.
That was fascinating because they were like like Game Boy was still new. They were talking about the Super Nintendo, but they weren't showing it. They had it was funny. They had like a part where like they had started an interview, but then like this stage show started in the booth. And so they kind of had to cut off the interview because it was too loud. And then you see all these people dancing around in front of like F1 race footage of Game Boy. And then it goes back to, okay, well, now we're going to do the second half of the interview. Because it's just raw B-roll from like somebody at ABC's camera or something. It's craziness.
That stuff is out there, man. In 1997 at Space World, people saw a crazy version of Zelda 64, and now a beta was discovered on a 64 cart that people are just ripping apart right now with all of these crazy things. Way too much to mention. And of course, the next episode of Friend Code, or I believe is already recorded. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's on Patreon.
Ian and I are on that.
Getting into that, so I don't want to get
It's
into
weird,
too
though,
many
that we
details.
just talked about Xbox. You wouldn't think that would happen on the Internet.
That's
true.
wild.
Team 17 bought the rights to Blacklight Interactive's Golf with Your Friends for $14.5 million, if you're curious how much that is worth.
That.
It's so funny to see something like that happen. Like, hey, we just played that.
Just played it.
Yeah.
Holds up. People are excited about it.
It's a good game.
Yeah, but before 2022's The Callisto Protocol, which you're going to have to wait for a little bit, might get some more trailers this year, another, quote, PUBG-related game will launch in 2021. So
Okay.
the PUBG universe
PUBG's
expanding at an exponential rate.
Yeah, they're
PUBG
like
just had a-
Riot.
Yeah, they just had a big update for the main game as well.
I don't know how much
good.
crossover there is between PUBG and Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2, but thanks to Kickstarter, Ty's getting an HD remake for that sequel.
Wow.
Which I guess has open world vibes. Like, please, I don't need more to play right now. A new job listing for Ubisoft Dusseldorf is hinting at multiplayer in the Splinter Cell VR game. That Splinter Cell
That's
multiplayer can do a lot of stuff.
Bizarre. Okay.
And, you know.
Did you
VR,
say Dusseldorf?
Dusseldorf.
Dusseldorf.
Where's that?
That's right next to Gamescom. It's Cologne, and then you take the train up. I would do
Dusseldorf.
that for years. When
That
I would
is-
go cover Gamescom, I would go and hang out with friends at Dusseldorf for a week after.
I really like that name. Like that's fun to say.
Somebody's in a train
Dusseldorf.
station right now.
Again,
That's like, oh,
Dusseldorf.
thank you, Blood. Sony Santa Monica is seeking an art director for a new unannounced game, which I'm sure is not a big deal. You know? I'm sure they don't need anyone for experience. It's Sony Santa Monica. Very low profile, unannounced game from the people who made God of War. Who cares?
God of War Reverse.
But
Woo!
15 frames a second of high octane comic book multiplayer action.
But boy, is there nothing else to say about that, because who knows what that could be. But it's
we will in 6 years.
they're making it, yeah, and it's unannounced. And according to Gabe Newell, Valve has other games in development that they'll be announcing soon.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a
And he
prediction.
specifically talked about like a taste for single player games. So yeah.
Which I'm
It's-
gonna pat myself on the shoulder, because that was a prediction in our prediction special. It's like, is Valve gonna
Yeah, that
announce
was
any other
good.
games this year? And boom, according to the
Like
to
the
the
next
Gabe
day.
mouth, apparently so.
It's like finding
like-
an oasis in the desert. Finally, Valve.
But an oasis
Prodigal son
that,
has returned.
but an oasis that from the distance looks like Portal in Half-Life 3, but when you get there, the water is just blue beads, and you can't actually drink them, so then you just die anyway.
No, it's just digital cards and MOBAs.
Yeah, it's just a
It absolutely
freaking
sounds
card
like
game.
Half-Life is part of this. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Blood, you shut up.
Did you read the article, man? He was,
Man, I
don't
he was
know how
not
to
shying away
read.
from it.
It is.
I just want to play
just-
Portal.
I just want more Half-Life after Alex. Like, come on, man. Come
Yeah.
on. Kick that door down.
I honestly, it's from the sound of it, that's exactly how the developers felt. It's like, we need to make more of this.
Yes, you do.
It is now time.
Portal.
Also, Portal would be great. Also, Portal would be
Also,
great.
Portal.
Also, Portal would be great.
It would be.
Sorry,
it just
Jones,
seems-
I had to do it.
It seems like a
I
strange.
had to do
seems
it.
like a strange thing. Like not. It's not like Portal was unsuccessful. You know, it's like it's not.
Portal is largely
Yeah.
successful.
And Portal keeps showing up in like
I
Bridge
assume.
Constructor and other weird things. Like as a
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
they like it. They like to shop it around. They're still selling plushies, but we'll see if we get another. Boy, wouldn't that be hype? It is now time
Team Fortress and also Team Fortress.
for love and respect.
Love and respect.
From Shane Olivier, Resident Evil 8 Village, really just called Resident Evil Village, was recently announced to be released on May 7th, my birthday! This is the first time I can recall that a game release I was really looking forward to aligned with my birthday. Birthdays as an adult can so often feel like just another day, but this has me anticipating the day more than I have in years. I was wondering, has this ever happened with any of your birthdays, whether in a game, movie, or anything else? Thanks for everything you do. Love and respect, Schmango.
It has, but I can't remember off the top of my head
I
what
don't
game it was.
I don't think it launched on my birthday, but I remember the first time I saw Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was for my birthday, and like we got like most of the class or something to go, and we all saw episode 1 for the first time together, and that was really sick. But I don't think it was on the day of my birthday.
Lots of great stuff happens like a day or two after my birthday. I don't know. My memory doesn't work like this, but anytime it happens, I always say on a video, I go, "That's the day after my birthday,"
Nice.
or something.
Right.
So go back through time
Right.
and you'll find it, but I don't remember this kind of stuff.
I'm digging through the Game Informer lists because they did a good job of having the release dates up and see if I find anything recently.
I don't think they came out on my birthday, but I had a fun tradition. Shout out to Tadashi Kitajima, who introduced me to Final Fantasy VI. And we would always go see a Jackie Chan movie. For some reason, they were like always in the theaters in the month of my birth. And we would always go check out. It's like, First Strike, let's do it. And like the two of us would go and check out to celebrate my birthday. Anything, Blood? Should we wait?
I haven't found anything in the last 2 years, but I don't know for sure.
He's already gone through 2 years. Well, jump into the next Lend Respect post. And something really fun happened on my last birthday. What was it? Oh, Joe Biden got inaugurated. That was it.
Oh yeah, right. That was a good one.
You forget about these things so quickly. From Harrison Holt McHale, Hitman 3 came out this week.
I got a
Woohoo!
close one.
Oh, jeez.
Portal 3.
Smash Brothers was the day after. Smash
Ooh,
Brothers
that's
Ultimate.
good. That's good.
Nice.
Oh yeah, happy birthday yesterday, Jones.
Yay!
When we're taping this.
Woo! A couple days ago, yeah. This week.
Yeah.
From Harrison Holt McHale, Hitman 3 came out this week. Woohoo! Something many publications have been mentioning is the Dartmoor assassination. This goes places. This post, I mean. And it's wonderful whodunit and Clue vibes. It got me thinking about all the various editions of the board game Clue there have been over the years, like The Simpsons, which I own, and the Game of Thrones, which I also own, I think. So much so that I decided to try and make a little game. I think I own Harry Potter. I don't think I own Game of Thrones. I call it...
We had Haunted Mansion Clue, and it's dope.
I call it, and thank you for the super long name, Harrison Holt McHale, Kirby with the Gravity Hammer in Spencer Mansion.
What?
I've thought up 5 editions of
it's like
Clue
Clue.
based on a video game franchise or IP. Along with each of those editions, I've provided a list of 6 items related to that franchise or IP that one might find useful for murder. Jones will read down each list one by one. Your job is to guess the franchise using the least amount of clues possible. Note, I will be avoiding the use of franchise-specific words or objects, using generic terms instead, so it's not glaringly obvious from the get-go what the answer is. Good luck, and love and respect, Harrison. Game number 1. Your objects are a fishing rod, a bunch of berries, a fossil,
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
a bicycle.
Oh, Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah, I think Ben beat it. Ian, impressive, but I think Ben beat you by like a second.
Yeah, I think Ben beat him, yeah.
Yeah. We also have a flute and a red and white ball right at the end there. Game number 2. Ketchup.
Animal Crossing.
A combat knife.
Oh,
An arm.
you said an arm?
An arm. A bandana.
Metal Gear Solid?
Metal Gear Solid.
Wow. I don't remember the ketchup. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Combat
used. Ketchup you use to fake your death, and the
Yeah, I was
I
thinking
was
Metal
gonna
Gear
say
Solid
you
1,
like
yeah.
put it
Yeah.
on the yeah.
What?
you put it on
The guard comes in and sees it. Also, a gas mask and a cardboard box. I don't know how you kill someone with a
Yeah,
cardboard
yeah.
box.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, maybe you'd pop out from underneath it and strangle them. I guess that's how that murder would go. Number 3, a BB gun, a jumpsuit,
Earthbound.
a suit of armor.
Fallout.
Nice.
Yeah, Fallout.
This game is
Wow.
This game is for Ben. Also accepting a portable computer, a Geiger counter, and a bag of bottle caps.
That would have done it, yep.
Yep. Oh, would it have blood?
I think that's the idea.
Number 4, a pistol, a knife. We're just playing Clue at this point.
Yeah, this could be anything.
A gavel, a samurai spear, a statue of the thinker.
This is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, right?
Bada bing, bada bing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
The
finally,
Samurai
done,
Spear,
Blood.
like that's the one that got me, yeah.
hey, finally, a man yelling and pointing. Did you hear about? I guess there's a Reddit. Somebody added a mod where you can type in, or it's just like software. You can type in
yeah.
like Reddit articles, and it'll turn them into Phoenix Wright arguments. And finally, a sword, a bow, a
Zelda?
hammer. Yeah, Zelda. Come on now. The easiest one for the last one. Come on, I should have shook these up. A boomerang, a mouse-shaped bomb, a hook and chain. Guess what?
I did find a game released on my birthday, but it's kind of funny because it's like, does this count or not? Because it's The Last Guardian released on my birthday. But I was already playing it before then because I did the review.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't count then. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So that you're telling me that is the only reason you gave it 5 stars.
It's too easy. It's too easy. Why you might actually thinking that The Legend of Zelda is also extremely easy is because that exists. There is a Legend of Zelda clue, and those are your items.
Oh yeah.
So
I believe it.
I'm doing that research. That's where that
That
came
was
up.
fun. More.
That was
I
fun.
want more.
Those were good. Good game. Shout out to everybody who gave us games this week, but that was too good. Also another fun game, but we'll get to that in a second. From Rahul Misal, I live about 2 minutes from the Microsoft and Nintendo campuses, and therefore, my brother and I have always been Nintendo and Xbox fans. I love the fanboy from a geographical standpoint.
Yeah.
It just rubbed off on me. There's something in the air, especially since our parents' friends got us into the corporate stores.
Oh, nice. Yes, Nintendo Store is fantastic.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 6 was also released on my birthday, but also a
Damn,
game I
Blood, will you-
reviewed.
Oh my
Will
God,
you pay
Blood Red-
attention, damn it? I need you guys. This is you're taking your co-moderating duties in a wrong direction. I need to pull you back in, okay?
We
Portal
asked the
3.
question. I had to find an answer.
This is why you did so poorly in the Clue game.
You weren't even paying attention to the clue game.
I got another game coming up after this, and I need you to focus, especially for Rahul. He's got a question for us. But this year, initially, just because of Spider-Man, I got a PS5. Doesn't say if it was their first Sony console, but I don't know. I'd like to think so. My question is, since I've missed out on so many PlayStation exclusives over the last decade plus, which games do you recommend I get and play? Uh-oh, Ben.
Ben went green.
Oh, I went green? Why did I go green?
No, green.
This happened to
And not in the
this was happening
Earth-friendly
to
way
me.
you're thinking of.
Wait, you both see him as green? He looks
I'm-
normal
yeah.
to me.
I'm
Damiani
normal
said
to me.
I look-
Here, let me see if I can
Damiani
refresh
said I
it.
look green to him earlier too.
Is it still green?
Does he
No,
look-
you fixed.
Oh, it's fixed now.
Okay.
My Zoom
Zoom's
got everybody
messed up,
going
dude.
grainy a little while ago, but
But you
otherwise-
swapped with blood. What an exciting love and respect we're having here.
This is just a Portal 3.
What are good PlayStation exclusives?
Oh, I mean,
Bloodborne.
yeah.
You got that Uncharted collection, which is great.
Yeah,
and
then
don't
you
skip
got a
on
war.
Lost Legacy. Lost Legacy might be a fun
Well-
place to start, actually.
I'll tell you what, if you got a PS5, if you have PSN, they've done a lot of this heavy lifting for us
Yeah.
and for you, because the PSN collection
Yeah.
is free, bundled in for you.
PlayStation Plus collection, yeah.
yeah,
think
it's great. All of those are winners.
I think Spider-Man is a must-play.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't. Did one of you already say God of War? But God
God
of War.
of War, I was just about to.
Dreams. Get in on that Dreams because there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Bloodborne.
Get near the end of Ghost. Oh boy, it's getting good. I mean, it's been
And
good,
Demon
but
Souls.
it's oof.
Yeah.
Stakes.
Demon
The
Souls.
The
stakes
new
are
Demon
rising.
Souls.
Mm-hmm.
You're in good shape. It'll be a good year.
The Resident Evil 8 demo came out recently.
You already
can only
spoiled
play
all
that.
of
Yeah.
it. And God.
I mean,
Hey.
Sony has just had such an incredible generation for exclusives.
Oh, dude.
It's hard to go wrong.
If they're talking about decades back, then get that Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Oh, yeah.
Get
Well,
that
the
Fall
remake
Guys.
isn't decades back, but I get what you're saying.
But they can't play the original on
Right,
the
right,
PS5,
right.
yeah.
right.
But you gotta play that one. And Metal Gear Solid 3 was not exclusive.
But is
But
it on the
anyway,
PS5 in any way?
Nah, it's just sweet.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is still exclusive though to the PS3.
Ah.
But you should play the other ones before you play 4.
Don't
Yeah,
don't
please.
start on
Yeah.
4.
Don't even
yeah.
try to start
Yeah,
on
don't.
4, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
You'll be confused.
You can't start on 5 though.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you'll be confused regardless, but you'll
Well.
you'll get more out of it. if
You won't have any.
You
pain.
probably will be
can start
really
on
bored
5.
with 4 if that's the phone you start
Yeah, I
with.
think
Yeah.
you would. You would.
Hey, you can
enjoy
watch the
it.
Metal Gear Solid retrospective video because that was before 4. That was leading up to it. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, the game trailer is Metal Gear Solid retrospective. It's all you need to know, really. I summed it up expertly.
Didn't Damiani write it?
Quite.
Who?
What? I edited.
Portal 3?
What? Portal. From G the Finger. It's time for another round of Either Or, the game where you must differentiate video game trivia from seemingly irrelevant topics. Below are 10 features.
Uh-huh.
And for each one, I want you to tell me if it can be associated with the. This is like I get to be a Cookie Masterson just for a little bit. For each one, I want you to tell me if it can be associated with the Xbox Elite Controller Series 2 or the Schick Quattro for women trim style razor and bikini trimmer, or both.
How
I
did
have a
you
lot
think
of
of
knowledge
this?
about that.
Or both. So it's either the
Or
Xbox
both.
Elite Controller Series 2 or the Schick Quattro
Very
for
creative.
women trim style razor and bikini trimmer.
I have
So-
both of these things, so.
So you're three. Yep, right. I'm looking for you to strike. 'Cause Blood's still looking up, video game release years. So
Yeah.
I need you, Ben.
Nah, I've
I need you.
stopped.
Okay. Phew. So I need your three available answers are Xbox, Schick, or both.
Okay.
Okay.
Ergonomically designed.
Both.
Both?
Schick, just Schick. The Xbox it's not definitive. Some people have
Get
problems
on
with
it,
it.
Xbox.
But where is this description at? What are we looking at? Is that on box or something?
If it can be associated, yeah. So I guess this is from their official press materials
I mean, because it can definitely be associated with ergonomically designed. Somebody said that at some point.
at Microsoft. You think in official?
I'm sure.
It's ergonomic.
Check your email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
My hands are right on it.
Charging carrying case. Charging
Shit.
Carrying
case.
Carrying the case is what makes it weird because
Yeah,
there's
I'm
a
not
charger
Charging
for
carrying
the
case?
The
Elite
Razer.
Series 2. Yeah, it's
Just
Schick,
the
Schick,
Schick.
yeah.
Just Xbox apparently, according to G the
Oh.
Finger.
Charging carrying case. Maybe that's something that you can buy.
The Xbox Elite Controller Series 2, the Elite.
Yeah.
Oh, the Elite.
Oh.
I have the Elite
Yeah.
Series 2, and I don't think I have a.
You need to spend another
Charging
$500.
case.
for the
Yeah,
case.
it's the
Maybe-
whole nother-
maybe-
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta
Maybe I
get the
should look
delu-
into that.
Get the charging case.
Maybe
Man.
I
deluxe
missed something.
edition.
Come on. I thought you were a gamer. Rise up, dude.
Wraparound
Dude, fall
rubberized
down.
grip.
What's that?
Wraparound rubberized grip.
Schick.
Both.
Both.
Fuck.
Replaceable AAA batteries.
Oh,
Schick.
that's the Razer, yeah.
Schick.
That would be just that razor. You got to
Yeah.
get the double A's.
You charge the.
Yeah.
Internal motors.
Oh, both of them, for sure.
Both.
Both, yeah. Well, both. Because you already nodded. So
Yeah,
this
both.
seems right. Yeah. Because you already both.
Lasts 40 hours. Lasts 40 hours on a single charge.
Both.
The Elite Series 2 has really good battery. I'm just going to say just Xbox.
I'm going to go with the controller.
Yeah.
Shavers are always saying that they last for a long time.
40 hours Xbox. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
No, it's
a lot.
it's quite a. I have
Yeah.
it right here. It's quite a good controller. I like it a lot.
That's more than the PS5 controller.
I
That
use
is
it
for
on PC.
Sure. 3 adjustable tension settings.
Just the controller.
That's the controller.
Just the controller. Yeah, I'm
Both.
yeah.
Both. Huh.
What?
I guess for the head bending back on the Razer?
Yeah, I don't know. There's only 3 of them though. Water and sweat resistant.
That's
Both.
the Razer.
Both.
No.
Just the
It
Razer.
wouldn't
Yeah,
need to
I'm
say-
gonna change
it
my
wouldn't-
answer. I'm
There's
gonna
no way
change just.
the Elite controller is
no.
water resistant.
I'm gonna say just
But
the Razer.
why would they say sweat resistant on the Razer?
Apparently you don't sweat when you play video games. Specifically Xbox.
it's the
Nothing makes me
controller.
sweat like Xbox. I gotta be honest.
Let's sweat Xbox.
That's just the Schick. And finally, and ending on a difficult note, ranks 27th in bikini trimmers on Amazon.
Controller.
controller. Just controller.
Yeah, it's just the Xbox. It's just Schick. All right. Finally from Dark Pikachu. Hi, allies. Here's a game you're probably not going to play. Ha-ha!
That's bait.
Eat it, Dark Pikachu.
How many allies? I just looked up all of your names on the website. How many of me? They use data from the U.S. Census Bureau's 1990 and 2000 censuses and roughly estimate how many people in the U.S. are called whatever.
Oh my gosh.
So let's rattle off each of the allies. Let me know how many of them are in the world. Just projected. None of this is equal, but they are specific numbers. They don't round these things. How many Ben Moores are there?
There are a lot of Ben Moores.
What's a lot? How many?
Like, too many.
Just in the U.S.
I don't know.
in
Like,
the whole world
just in the U.S.
or in America?
oh, just the
Census
U.S.
Bureau. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know, 3 million, 2 million, 1 million, 1.5
Whoa,
million.
Ben, calm down. Ben, easy. You know. You
300
could
million.
amass an
Is
army
only
of Ben
Ben
Moores, but
guessing right now? Or are we all guessing?
We're all
Is
guessing.
it like 300,000? I don't know.
You're out of control right now.
Is
I
it
would
like
probably go
2,000?
with like 97,500 or something like that.
336.
Oh,
Yeah, in the U.S.
That's it?
Called Ben
Wait.
Moore. You also
only
get-
336?
I feel like there are a lot of Ben Moores. Maybe I'm wrong.
according to the a conglomeration of the 1990 and 2000 censuses. So who knows?
Okay.
This doesn't mean anything. These are silly numbers. But now you got a baseline. Okay, if Ben Moore
Now,
equals
now I've got
336.
no baseline. I've got no idea.
Well, if I throw a curveball, something scintillating like a Don Casanova. How many Don Casanovas are there?
82.
30,000.
56.
7.
Yeah.
It's good.
That could be just
Really?
a faction. Yeah, there could be a samurai group of just Don Casanovas. How many Michael Hubers are there?
23.
100,000.
There's no.
You realize that there were only 300 Ben Moores, right, Ben?
Wait, I thought he said 330,000 or something.
No.
No,
I thought you said
300.
300,000. Oh, you just said 300?
336 Ben Moores. He's just.
Oh.
Ben literally just imagine like a sea of Ben Moores. Like
They're all
you
just
can't
clone army,
shatter
man.
his image.
They're all just like Team Fortress.
We have to go stop the separatists.
There's only 336. That's a high school reunion at best, Ben. I'm sorry. It's just. Not,
I
it's
really
not
truly
quite-
believe that you said
went to a good old high
300,000.
school.
It's not
I
quite. There
really
were 700 in my
did.
graduating class. I went to a massive high school. Yeah,
There were
way too-
70 in mine.
Yeah.
100 Michael Hubers.
599. Almost 600. 599.
Oh.
Wow, more than Ben Moore's.
Yep. How many Michael Damianis?
I want let's
not
let's
many.
have all of the armies fight each other.
Yeah. So
How many Michael
600
Damiani?
at Huber was our biggest number so far. How many Damianis?
18.
Yeah,
Yeah,
around there.
like
Here we go.
14.
20.
Okay. Ben's closest with 29.
Hmm.
How many Daniel Bloodworths?
One.
No, definitely not. Let's say 35.
12.
1.5.
25. So not bad. Not bad. How many
Really?
Bradley Ellisons?
I want to see the other. 300.
215.
That would be a high one, I think. 400.
179.
Yeah, more than Ben Moore, probably.
179.
179. Okay.
How many Brandon Joneses?
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
800.
Oh, yeah.
5,000.
1,200.
2.
I'll find him.
There can be only one.
2,205.
Oh, wow.
Woof.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I
We're all-
was so
we're all
wrong about
siege of
how
the
many
gate.
Ben Moores there were.
We're all
Holy
going to
cow.
see us on horseback riding toward your castle of a paltry 25.
If I'm in double digits, I'm going to be pissed.
Yep. I'm taking you over. How many Ian Hanks?
That's
2.
interesting because I don't know of anyone else with that last name that I've.
I think it's like 2 or 3.
45.
Ian? You're it.
I'll
baby.
go with 15.
Well, how many?
I'm it.
You're it.
I'm it. Woo!
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah, that does deserve a round of applause.
There's somebody listening to this podcast named Ian Hank who's like, wait, what?
Woohoo!
Do I even exist?
I think I do
Yeah, I'm
think
sure
I
there
do
is.
think I've seen like another one when I've Googled stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's 1 or 2 others maybe in America.
Not many.
There might be one in Germany too, but
Not many. You can come to the Jones clan if you want. If you need protection for any reason.
We have room.
Oh,
no thanks.
The other thing is this
We're in
is
a
based on
massive
census.
right.
It's
I
dealing
lie
with
on the
people who are
census.
alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Back to the Future.
The snap.
It is time for bets. Next week's bet, The Medium launches next Thursday, aka the day we record the podcast. I am hoping that on that day when it launches, we will know how long the end credits are. What's that TRT going to be? We might not know. I might have to push this bet. We'll see. But I think we'll know. I think I'll be able to dig it up. Ian, you sexy beast. How long are they going to be?
Quite literally.
6 minutes.
Oh, some long credits there. Ben. How long?
6 minutes.
Oh, come on.
Oh shit!
666.
Oh, Bloodworth, what's your score? Tell me it's a big number, please. Please.
817.
Okay.
The number of the devil.
Bloodworth, how dare you?
Oh, this is going to be a weird bet. God, if it's 5 minutes and 15 seconds, I'm going to be so pissed. I said 240. So we'll see. Oh, no. They bet this.
That's bad, isn't it, to bet the same thing?
No,
Well,
it's
you both
good.
get points if you're the
If
closest.
it's 6.
Yeah, you both win. That's 2 points.
Oh.
Just to start the year, that's not a good omen. What? Last week's bet, I want to know what the release date of Resident Evil Village was, and if they didn't get one, anyone that said there would be none would win. Everybody bet a date, and they gave us a date. Brad Ellis bet April 16th. Ben Moore bet April 15th. I bet bet October 1st, and I bet September 30th. Ian, we all bet the two teams bet dates right next to each other.
Way over.
That's some of that witchcraft Ian clearly lives to practice if you're visually watching this podcast. If you checked out that showcase, you already know who won this bet. That would not be Ben Moore. Brad beat him by a day, but that would be that team that got that point, evening out the score, which brings our scores to Jovial Penguins 1.
You lousy minx, I ought to have you spayed.
Vociferous Beavers 1.
Nom 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 nom.
So you did change your names.
We are the Vociferous Beavers.
Love it.
Yep. I think maybe Damiani doesn't know about it. I think he's maybe the last one that is going to find out what our
And
team
never
name is.
tell
First
him.
I've heard of it.
Never
He's
tell
not
him.
going to do the research.
Never tell him.
Never tell him.
Yeah, I'll be like, and then Blood now will go, like, what are you? Who's doing that? Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. That is where you would like to go. That is where you would like to go. You would. I'm putting that.
would like to
It's
go
inception.
there,
I'm putting that thought inside your head. I'm Leo at the bar right now. I'm noticing you haven't been to
We're here to protect you.
patreon.com/easyallies. Your life depends on going there. It's where you can go to learn more about the Easy Allies for all sorts of reasons. There are things that we just only post on that website. There's lots of fun exclusives. I was very glad to work on the spoiler mode. Didn't spoil me on the season 3 of Cobra Kai, but even just their promo, even just listening to how they talked about it, I'm so tempted to go back and check those 3 seasons. They're talking about season 4, talking about details that could potentially happen. We did spoiler mode in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we will have more spoilers to talk about in that specific spoiler mode series.
Should also say that today, Patreon exclusive, right now, Gen That Was 2018, very fun episode.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Also that WandaVision. I think that's primed for a spoiler mode whenever that
Oh
sucker
my
wraps
goodness.
up.
I really like WandaVision a lot.
You need to be like a forensic detective to
You do,
talk
dude.
about that show.
I mean, who knows? Maybe in the
You
last
gotta
episode
know
they'll just dump
things.
everything on us.
The
but yeah.
devil's in the details.
I thought following the MCU as tightly as I did, I would be clued. But like I'm reading articles like, who are you talking about? Yeah, for those specific spoilers and other spoiler modes, check out patreon.com/easyallies. And we would greatly appreciate your support because that is where we are primarily funded here in this operation of ours. No more primarily funded than the 5 wonderful people I'm about to shout out. Ian, because you started the Zoom call, you are number 1. I followed right behind you. Bloodworth, you're after me. And Ben, you are going last. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanos, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Stephen Thomason, and Nick.
Shout
out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Well, Brad won it, but Brad ain't here. Ian, you're in that box.
Woo!
You get to close out this podcast. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you would like to promote, get the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head with the horns, your horned head, I meant to say quickly.
God.
And you get to sign off with your trademark sign up. He's got horns, everybody. You should watch the podcast sometimes.
Shoot, what should I mean, what I want to promote is our Goaty stuff.
It's coming.
But that won't be up yet.
Oh, get excited.
But yeah,
Some people might not
watch
listen to Listen Sunday. They might be like, oh, yeah, I'm not doing anything the day after tomorrow. I'll tune in.
Yeah, Tuesday our Goaty stuff's happening, so check that out. Yeah, I guess that's my promotion. Final
That's an
word.
exciting promotion. That's, whew.
Yeah, watch our Goaty stuff. Well, what else? What's better? What should I promote?
No, it's not a better thing to promote.
You
but
you
could
got
do
to.
a
I mean,
better
it won't be up
promotion.
for early access
These are
yet. But you got a
awards,
thing
baby.
this weekend.
We're hitting up best trailer.
My easy update.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I talked to one of the lead designers of the Stronghold series, on this weekend's Easy Update, and it was a lovely time. Check it out. We talked about the series and the upcoming Warlords. I didn't have a final word and I pitched 2 things, so I guess I'll just say good night and good game. "15 frames a second of high-octane comic book multiplayer action."
I wish they would reverse this into a better idea.